Hey man, welcome to Super Divorce on YouTube. Welcome to tonight's live stream. Just sitting here, hanging out with JJ, hanging out with this can of LaCroix that I've got. I'm gonna do that because I haven't really reviewed a little drink in a while, so I'll probably do that. That'd be good. It'd be good to do a drink review this evening. So I'm Nicholas, I am Vilars, I am Nick, whatever you want to call me is fine on that front. You could call me dumbass, you could call me anything you want to. You have that freedom, and I can't do much about it. But I prefer one of those names or a nice endearing nickname. Anyway, I am one half of the band Super Divorce. We are a synth pop duo. We have an album that you can listen to on Spotify called Action Figures that we just released last year. If you like it there, follow us. Follow Super Divorce on Spotify and head over to superdivorceme.com and check out our online shopping mall where you can pick up a copy of Action Figures on CD, cassette, or vinyl record. We also have a T-shirt available right now that you can order, and some other little goodies. So so make sure you do that stuff if you enjoy the flavorings of this channel, and if you want to support us, that would be wonderful. All right, so tonight we are going to talk about Star Wars Episode 9 and what we know so far. I found an interesting article yesterday that I wanted to go over, but we ended up talking about Billy D. Williams coming back and him taking back his role as Lando and where they might go with that. That's what we explored last night. Tonight we're going to look at what we know generally about Episode 9 so far, and we're going to check out an article that supposes to tell us what we know, and see what we might be able to get out of that. So before we break into the episode proper, before we begin looking at the article, I'm gonna just I picked up this can of not well, I picked up a whole pack of LaCroix earlier today. This is the passion fruit essenced. I like that they say essenced because everyone always makes fun of how LaCroix tastes like it was manufactured maybe next to a pumpkin, or not a pumpkin. I don't think they have pumpkin LaCroix yet. Maybe they will, but it tastes like the factory is next to wherever they're growing whatever is they're flavoring the drink with. You know, it's not actually flavored; it's essenced. So it's got an essence of passion fruit. It doesn't actually taste like passion fruit. It kind of tastes like passion fruit dust, like literally dust that was on a passion fruit was blown into the chamber where they create this LaCroix. That's what I'm guessing it tastes like. I've not tried it yet. I just saw it when we were checking out at Target earlier today, and I thought I would give it a go. So I'm going to do that now. I'll just turn this around real quick. Hey, you see what I'm wearing? You see this shirt? Once we hit 200 subs, someone's going to win one of these. Someone's going to win one of these shirts that you cannot get on our online shopping mall. You cannot get these at superdivorceme.com, and I wager that you will never be able to. They're exclusive to our YouTube subscribers. Once we hit 200 subs, we're going to pick a random subscriber. We're going to go to the mall, and we're going to have one of these. This is an airbrushed t-shirt. This heart logo is airbrushed, and we're going to get one of these made for a lucky winner once we hit 200 subscribers. And right now we have less than 50 to go. So we're on our way. If you're watching now and you like one of these, this is our logo. You can show everyone how much you love Super Divorce, and you can subscribe, and you can possibly win one of these. I'd love to see that happen. Anyhow, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. It's gonna be a quick review because we want to get right to our Star Wars. But this I thought would be good to have in case my throat gets a little dry while I'm talking. So this is natural passion fruit essenced LaCroix. This is much better than some of them that I've had. This might be the sweetest tasting LaCroix that I've ever tried. It does have a calorie free. Hold on. It's yeah, it is. This is still sweetener free. There's no sweetener in here. Apparently the essence of passion fruit is much sweeter than the essence of some other things that I've tried. This isn't too bad. I might buy this again. You see, this is much healthier than soda, LaCroix is, and it gives you the satisfaction of a carbonated beverage that you don't get when you drink just plain water. Not hating on water. You should drink water. You should not replace all of your water with LaCroix, but if you want to drink something carbonated, this is a good route to go, I think. I've not heard anything really negative about drinking LaCroix. Of course, that could change in the future when studies are done on it extensively. After people have been consuming it for 100 years, it might turn out that this is the worst possible thing a human being could have. But as for now, it seems healthy, and it doesn't taste too bad. I'm endorsing this. I would say you're not going to waste your money if you buy an 8-pack. That's what these come in. So go, if you have a Target nearby, I know they sell them. Stop and pick up a can or a few cans of LaCroix passion fruit essenced. All right, so let's get to this video here. Let's talk about what we know about episode 9. Here, of course, is here's JJ. Here's JJ, the man who has the power to save the Star Wars universe right now. I know that I'm not being original when I say that he is our only hope. Of course, people have been saying that for a while. But it's true. At this point, J.J. Abrams is our only hope. This man has the power to reverse everything awful that Rian Johnson did in Episode 8. And today, news broke that Hans... Well, I wouldn't say it's news. An article was written basically laying out how time travel could be used to bring Han Solo back in Episode 9. And if JJ did that, that would be amazing. That would be wonderful. He could right basically his own wrong, because I think it was wrong to kill him off in Episode 7. It was too soon. So maybe JJ can do that. We'll find out. Anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're not here really to speculate on the future. We're here to talk about... Oops, I forgot to send this out. Oh, that's true. We're still live. So here's this article that I came across. This is from Yahoo. This is a Yahoo article. Let me just go in a little bit here. We'll just go in a little bit. Just move ourselves over just a tad. We don't have to look at these annoying ads on the side the whole time. We'll go in right there. Here's a picture of JJ speaking to Ray during the filming of Episode 7, I would assume. And, yep. No, this says Star Wars Episode 9. Is this right now? That can't be a new picture. I don't think that's right. I don't think this is from the set right now. Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So this is Star Wars Episode 9, Everything We Know So Far. This is written by Rick Marshall in the Digital Trends section of Yahoo. So you watched Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which hit movie theaters in mid-December, and you're itching for hints about what's to come? There are plenty of interesting tidbits emerging about the upcoming Star Wars Episode 9, including the potential return of Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. And that's what we talked about last night. So if you didn't get a chance to watch that, you can go and check that out now, and then return to this video, or you can check that video out when we finish up here. It'll be available. The latest trilogy of Star Wars films will conclude with Episode 9. Director J.J. Abrams will return to close out the latest arc of the iconic sci-fi saga after helming 2015's franchise relaunching Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And let's just take a moment and be thankful that he is returning to close out the latest arc, because that means that at least for the moment, Star Wars is once again out of the hands of Rian Johnson and back in the hands of, I would say, much more capable J.J. Abrams. A much more fan-friendly J.J. Abrams, I believe. He directs from a script he co-wrote with Academy Award-winning director, or not director, just Academy Award winner, Chris Terrio, who did Argo and Justice League. Argo was good. I liked Argo. The sequel trilogy's final chapter is scheduled to hit theaters. Hey, what's up? I just saw someone joined in here. How you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us live. We're just we're going over an article about what we know of Episode 9 so far, of the new Star Wars, the upcoming Star Wars film, due out in December of 2019. So we're going through here. We're seeing what they have to say, what we know so far, and we're gonna kind of hash this out as we go along. So yeah, the sequel trilogy's final chapter is scheduled to hit theaters December 20th, 2019. Here's everything we know so far. They say this is everything. I'm gonna get a drink of this passion fruit essence LaCroix. All right. Hello. What have we here? They ask. A long-standing rumor seemed to get some confirmation in July 2018 when The Hollywood Reporter indicated that actor Billy D. Williams will reprise the role of Lando Calrissian in Star Wars Episode 9. Again, we just discussed this last night. There's Billy D. There he is. We don't know what he's going to be doing in Episode 9. We don't know how substantial his role will be. But Williams last appeared as the famously suave smuggler and notorious gambler in 1983's Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, after making his debut just one film earlier in 1980's Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. He has voiced Lando in several episodes of various Star Wars animated series over the years, and reportedly bowed out of some recent convention appearances due to a scheduling conflict with production on Episode 9. And that's where the speculation started. He dropped out of some convention appearances, and that happened to coincide with people with when people knew Episode 9 was going to be shooting. Pretty easy to put the dots together on that one and conclude that he was off to film something for Episode 9. Don't know what that's going to be yet. Don Glover played a young version of Lando in 2018's Solo, a Star Wars story, or Soilo, a Soy Wars story. A new cast member? Actress Kerry Russell. You know what? I should look up Kerry Russell. Kerry Russell. Let's see here. What has she done? Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see. An American actress and dancer. She came to fame for portraying the title role of Felicity Porter on the series Felicity, which ran from 1998 to 2000, and for which she won a Golden Globe Award. I never watched Felicity, but let me see. Does she look familiar? This is her. Carrie, I don't even know if maybe I've seen a movie that she's been in. Let's look at her wiki. Filmography. Film. She was in Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. I remember watching that when I was little. Anything new? The Free State, I didn't see that. I didn't see... she was in Um, here, Mission Impossible 3. I saw that, I think, but I can't really remember what she did in it. Okay, well, bottom line is I'm not really, I'm not jazzed. I can't say that I'm super excited about Kerry Russell because I I can't picture her on screen doing anything. So she was in a show called Felicity. I remember when Felicity was on. I never watched it. I'm not, I'm not stoked. I know a lot of people. I saw a bunch of fanfare about it, and I felt like maybe I was missing something. Like I was gonna see who she was, and it would be like, oh, that lady, that lady. Yeah, that's really cool that she's in Star Wars now. But she was on a popular. I think that's kind of like a one of those. It was like a Dawson's Creek type show, wasn't it? I don't know. That's what it makes me think of. So I mean, it would people have been that excited if they announced that? Um, what was his name? Dawson. Who's that guy? The blonde-haired guy. I don't know his name. Would people be so excited if he was coming into Star Wars? If the Dawson's Creek guy was being cast in the new Star Wars film to maybe become like the savior of the Star Wars universe? It was going to be the Dawson's Creek guy. I don't know why I can't think of his name. Anyway, let's get back to this. I'm sorry. Um, Actress Kerry Russell may be in early talks with J.J. Abrams to join the next Star Wars installment, according to Variety. Russell and Abrams previously worked together on Mission Impossible 3. Well, then at least they've got some sort of they've got a working relationship. That's always good when the director and the actors or actresses are on good terms, good chemistry. You'd imagine if he's bringing her back from a previous film that he'd be excited to work with her again. So that could bode well. Lucasfilm executives and Abrams have reportedly been meeting with a few actresses to discuss a new role, and sources say that they have settled on Russell after a 2-month search. There's no news yet on whether she will play a hero or a villain in the franchise, but she should bring the same great acting chops she's offered in action-laden releases like The Americans and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And I've not seen either of those, so I cannot really comment on her great acting chops. So, a tricky new title. Star Wars films are notorious for using working titles to throw off the public and keep production costs low in terms of locations and services. Um, let's see. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, was shot under the guise of a horror movie called Blue Harvest. Meanwhile, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which is still an awful name for a movie. I remember hearing when they first announced this, Attack of the Clones, and then I found out that in the mix at that time, even before the TV show, they had thought about calling it the Clone Wars. And I was just befuddled when they went with Attack the Clones. It just sounded so hokey in comparison. Anyway, meanwhile, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, poked fun at the negative response to prequel trilogy's Gungan leader with the title Jar Jar's Big Adventure. Sometimes the production title can offer clues, though they may not make sense until after the film is released. Fanthatrax has reported the working title for Episode 9 will be Trixie. See, there's a IX in the middle. The site claims that the same research methods and public sources were used by the same team to uncover the production names of every Disney-era Star Wars film to date. The Force Awakens was shot... Hold on, and Trixie. I'm pretty sure that that's a new title that J.J. Abrams has given this film. I heard that originally it was going to be... they were going to be using the title Black Diamond for the working title. And then apparently JJ came on and changed it to Trixie. Perhaps he thought this was more clever to have the IX right there, to kind of put it out in plain sight and see if anyone would pick up on it. The Force Awakens was shot under the title Avco, which Bleeding Cool reported was the name of the theater in Los Alamos where young J.J. Abrams saw the first Star Wars film. So, what does Trixie refer to, if anything? It appears to simply be a way to get the Roman numeral for the number 9 in the title. But there could be more to it, and we will circle back when we have more information. Yeah. So, so that's what we know about the working title. Okay. Uh, Reunion time. Let's talk about reunions. Well, we're only going to be able to get so much because, well, unless we go with the time travel stuff, then maybe we can have a reunion between Han and Luke. But anyway, okay, let's see what we know. Let's see what we know. This is about what we know of Episode 9 so far. So, following in the footsteps of the Star Wars trilogies that came before it, the current 3-part story arc had its main characters separating in Episode 8, The Last Jedi, the middle chapter of the saga, and the saga that should be erased. Much like the characters did in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. As with those previous trilogies, they're expected to reunite in the 3rd chapter. At least that's what franchise actor John Boyega seems to think. But you know what? If that's what John Boyega seems to think, well, John Boyega is lucky that Rian Johnson is not around to subvert his expectations, to subvert everyone's expectations and have no one reunite in the 3rd chapter. Maybe that's what they should do. Maybe JJ should take a page out of Rian Johnson's playbook and actually have them not reunite ever. Maybe he should actually break everyone apart. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something to have all of the characters not only stay separated, but to separate them further? Take anyone who is together at the moment and then separate them completely. That could be just a stroke of genius, I think. So anyway, let's get back to it. Okay. So really just focus on subverting everyone's expectations. That's what all the fans want. Asked about Episode 9 during a convention in Washington, D.C., Boyega said he expects the film to bring together his character, Finn, with Daisy Ridley's character, Ray Ray. Hey, what's up? We got 2 people in here now. Hello. The pair have been separated since the events of Episode 7, The Force Awakens, but that period apart could be nearing its end. It could be. It's possible, but it's also possible that the Sith Lord Rian Johnson is whispering in the ear of J.J. Abrams right now and telling him to subvert everyone's expectations. As everyone thinks that period apart could be nearing its end, let's blow them asunder even further. Let's subvert everyone's expectations and let's see how drastically we can blow these characters apart. Let's put them all on different planets. Let's scatter them across the universe and never bring them back together. Let's have everyone that the fans love in Star Wars die alone on distant planets. No one would ever see that coming. I don't know how we'll make it happen, but we can write ourselves all the way to that ending. We can figure it out. Let's work backwards. Let's think about how we can make that happen. Let's think about all of the characters that everyone loves in Star Wars. We could even bring them back. We could bring everyone back. Never bring them together, but bring them back separately and have them all end up on different planets alone, starving to death, and kill them all at the very end. The ending can be a montage of everyone's favorite characters dying slowly and alone on unpopulated planets, and really drag it out and really subvert everyone's expectations, because you would never think that a Star Wars trilogy would end that way. I think that we should explore that further. That's definitely worth exploring. Maybe we'll do a video soon and explore how we can see all of our favorite characters dying alone in misery on different planets scattered throughout the universe. That might be worth looking into. I think it is worth looking into. So let's continue seeing what we know about Star Wars, Episode 9. That's what this article is all about, everything that we know so far. I haven't read the script for Episode 9, he said. I'm guessing it's Boyega. But Daisy did shoot me a text saying, "Oh my gosh, I just heard from J.J. Abrams, and we're back together." That's what I'm really excited about, is Finn and Rey back together again. Well, it's nice that John Boyega is excited about that, because when your actors and actresses are excited, then I think you get better performances out of them. The only problem is I don't know how many fans are really excited about seeing Finn and Rey back together, because the problem is not many fans care about Finn and Rey, because as we talked about yesterday, they have failed in the first two movies to anchor the old trilogy to the sequel trilogy, as it's being called. They have not anchored well. With no anchors, no one cares about Finn, and no one cares about Rey, except for Boyega. Mr. Boyega cares. He's going to perform really well. That's good, but no one cares. Different endings. Same result. While discussing the differences in working with Star Wars directors J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, Mark Hamill, revealed how the creator of the sci-fi saga, George Lucas, planned to handle the later years of his iconic character Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill, probably very solemnly and sadly said, "I happen to know that George didn't kill Luke until the end of Episode 9, after he trained Leia," Hamill told IGN, which is another thread that was never played upon in The Last Jedi. Here's a sad fellow right here. This is a man, look, the frown is very apparent. He's not happy. I feel very sorry for Mark Hamill, because this face is not just acting. He's not just acting this way. That look is real. This look is as real as anything that you will ever see in this life. This is a man who's been defeated and who has been taken apart by a director who's been given too much power, by a man who threw his weight around to stroke his own ego, to be the man who killed Luke Skywalker. Sith Lord Rian Johnson killed this man. Although most of Lucas's plans for a sequel trilogy were reportedly scrapped when Disney took over the franchise, The Last Jedi did get to a point with some of its main characters that has a lot in common with those early outlines. Luke's death occurred one episode earlier. And I would say without fanfare. It occurred one episode earlier and unceremoniously. And Leia, Carrie Fisher, did show some aptitude with the Force in Johnson's 2017 film. Let's stop real quick. You can just read that if you're watching this video. If you're just listening to it, I'll read it again. Leia, Carrie Fisher, did show some aptitude with the Force in Johnson's 2017 film. Leia showed some aptitude. She showed some aptitude with the Force. The same way that The same way a person who's never gone mountain climbing would show some aptitude when they set the record for climbing Mount Everest with no equipment and in the shortest time that's ever been recorded. The way someone that did that would show some aptitude for mountain climbing. Leia showed some aptitude with the Force in Johnson's 2017 film when she was blown into space and, having never trained, brought herself to and flew through space back to the ship. Something that I've never seen anyone else do in a Star Wars film. I don't know that I would trust Luke Skywalker. I don't know if I would trust Yoda to survive being blown into space. I didn't know that Jedi could just fly through outer space like that, the way that Leia did. But yeah, I would say that she showed some aptitude with the Force when she did that, when she was blown into outer space and just went ahead and flew back to the ship, no problem. She showed some aptitude. George had an overall arc. If he didn't have all the details, he had sort of an overall feel for where the sequel trilogy was going. But this sequel trilogy is more like a relay race, Hamill said of the current saga. And that's one problem with it. You know, these films, I don't think they work well in the kind of relay format. The story's too big. You've got to have a vision for where it's going. You can't just write one movie by itself. And what's up? Number 3. We got someone else here. We're just going through this Yahoo article that came out yesterday, kind of chronicling what we know about Star Wars Episode 9 right now. And we're just going through it, trying to hash it out, trying to get an idea of where we are, get our orientation correct. And we're going through here, and where we are right now, yes, Mark Hamill. He was talking about the difference between the way that Lucas handled the films and the way that they're being handled now. And what we know about them is that they are like a relay race, as he says. One person does a movie, they hand it off to someone else, and that's where you are. You know, we're now entering phase 3 of the relay, where it's passed back to J.J. Abrams, and we're going to see what he does with it. So it appears to be letting its creative teams take the overarching events in some unexpected directions too. You run and hand the torch off to the next guy, he picks it up and goes. Great for a relay race, but not so great for Star Wars when you expect the story to make sense. Though it could get interesting if J.J. Abrams is pissed off that Sith Lord Rian Johnson basically tried to destroy every interesting question that was posed in Episode 7, and in favor of the most anticlimactic story arc that you could come up with. He took everything that people were wanting to know, everything that was interesting in Episode 7, and he just destroyed it unceremoniously again. As for whether he'll return as Luke in Episode 9, Hamill indicated that no one's really talked to me about it at this point. And also in another interview, I saw that he was pretty much at the point of not caring about Star Wars anymore. I think that if he comes back, if he's in this next movie, it's going to be because J.J. Abrams did a lot of damage control, and that J.J. Abrams talked to him and made him feel great about coming back to the franchise, because at this point, why would you? This character that he cared so much about, that he's been supporting, that he's been showing up at conventions in celebration of for years and years, was just obliterated, and he had to take part in it. He had to play the worst version of that character possible, and then just sort of fade away. And so if JJ can write himself out of that bag that Rian Johnson put him in, then maybe we'll see Luke return. Maybe we'll get Hamill coming back in a vindicated fashion to save the day, to not just save Star Wars Episode 9, but to also save the character that everyone loved, and provide some sort of satisfying ending for Luke Skywalker, because I don't know anyone who's just thrilled about the way that went. I don't know anyone who thinks it's satisfying, anyone who loved it. At the most, it was like, well, that was interesting. People will say that it's interesting sometimes. It's like, I didn't expect Luke to do that. And it's like, well, of course you didn't. Of course you didn't expect Luke to do that, but having your expectations subverted can be interesting. It can be shocking. It can jolt you for a second, and it can seem like a good thing at first. But once you start talking about it, that's what I found, is people will often say, "Yeah, well, I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that. I thought it was kind of cool." If you talk to people who say that, and you have them start thinking about it, and you kind of walk through it step by step. If you walk through who Luke Skywalker was, who he started as, a kind of meek, mild, tender farm boy, and you see him become this strong, valiant hero who refuses to kill Darth Vader because he still senses good in him. You have that guy who, after training and after setting up a Jedi temple, you would assume just becomes more convinced of his convictions. As he trains and he looks in that direction of goodness, you can imagine him becoming more set in his ways, in a good way. More convinced that not giving into the darkness, that not giving into fear is the way to go. That's what Jedi are all about. Yoda says it himself. That basically fear is a gateway to the dark side. And then what does he do? He goes and because he's afraid of what his nephew might do, of what Ben Solo might do someday, he tries to murder him in his sleep. If you walk through it that way with someone who said, "Yeah, well, I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't see that coming." Walk them through it. Just try it and see what happens. I guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, they'll probably end up reevaluating their position. And they'll probably say, "You know what? Maybe that's not cool. Maybe I was just thrown off for a second. And the novelty of it seemed interesting or compelling." But then you look back and you're like, well, shit, that really kind of destroyed this character. That kind of takes everything hopeful about him, and that takes the trajectory that you watched begin with A New Hope, that hero's trajectory of Luke becoming something worth aspiring to, and it just crushes it for really no reason other than subverting people's expectations. Rian Johnson wanted to throw people off, and he, I think, wanted to be the guy who got to kill Luke Skywalker in his Star Wars movie. So, anyway, going on here. The rich get richer. Whatever your thoughts about Episode 8, most can agree that it was a visually spectacular film. Well, visually spectacular. I mean, it had some cool looking stuff in it, like most of the Star Wars movies did, but I don't know. It's not like I think about the best looking movie I've ever seen, and Episode 8 comes to mind. So, I mean, it did all right. Scenes like the throne room, saber battle, that was pretty cool. That's a cool setup. And Vice Admiral Holdo's light speed strike were breathtaking. Well, thanks to some excellent art direction and production design. Now, the team for Episode 9 has a new distinguished member, Paul Inglis, who served as art director for the excellent and gorgeous Blade Runner 2049. I still need to see this. I do want to see that. So, just from what I have seen, just the trailer, just the clips that I've seen online and such, that does look, Blade Runner, it seems like they did a really wonderful job with the visuals. That looked like a movie that I would consider visually spectacular. So I'll have to report back after I've seen that one. Um, if you have seen it, and tell me what you think of it. Uh, yeah, 7 star. 7 star. Hello, 7 star. I know you. Um, you said it's yeah. You're giving it your stamp of approval. Good. 7 star. 7 star. Can I reveal your secret identity? Not not IRL, but your connection to certain things here. Let me know. Let me know what's going on there. Thanks to a report from Omega Underground. You already have in previous. Well, I couldn't remember. Um, okay, well that sounds fine. If you see 7 star, that's Andrew from the sequential Star Wars series of videos that we're doing. So maybe when this video wraps up, go back and check out the first two that we've done. We started with Star Wars Episode 1, and this series called Sequential Star Wars, we are beginning at Episode 1, and we are trying to build the Star Wars universe off of that movie, as if Episode 1 were the first Star Wars film ever released. And we were going to watch them in order and try to make sense of the Star Wars universe from that perspective. So, it's an interesting approach. I think it's going to be fun, a fun little video series. The first episode was about 2 hours, and the second one was 3. So they're beefy. They're beefy episodes. If you got some work to do around the house, put those on and listen while you work. Here we go. Thanks to a report from Omega Underground, we know Inglis has been tapped as the supervising art director for Episode 9, where he will work alongside Abrams and the production team to define the film's aesthetic. Inglis's previous credits also include Skyfall, Game of Thrones, Prometheus, and Children of Men. And I've seen Children of Men, but I've not watched Game of Thrones because I wanted to read the books first, and maybe I'll do that. Prometheus, I've not seen that, and Skyfall, I've not seen either. So, sorry, I'm a hack when it comes to these right here. I can't really comment. A different kind of ship, as we continue on with what we know. They're going to tell us what we know about a different kind of ship. Some Star Wars fans saw Rey, Ridley, and Isaac, meet in The Last Jedi and started hoping it was their meet cute. I've never even... Their meet cute. I don't know what... Does anyone know what meet cute is? Their meet cute. Like maybe the beginning of like the blossoming of a sort of loving relationship. Their meet cute. I've never heard anyone say meet cute, and I've never seen it spelled out like this before either. I've never heard of this. I don't know what a meet cute is. If you know, let me, please, by all means. Maybe you can find a definition online and then and comment here. Let me know what a meet cute is. The single scene was enough to fuel shipping rumors, so much so that Ridley had to answer a question about it during a promotional event in China. Redditor Neamore89 posted a video via Sleemo showing the actress discussing, what was she discussing? The two resistance fighters' possible romantic future. Put simply, she doesn't really want them to have one. So Daisy Ridley does not want to have a romantic relationship with Poe Dameron. Rey and Poe, as it's not written in the stars, as far as Daisy Ridley is concerned. She wants none of that. She wants none of that. Poe, she thinks he's not worthy of Rey's love for some reason. I don't know. It's wonderful to have relationships that are not romantic, Ridley said. I don't think in films you always need a romantic relationship. I think friend relationships can be romantic in their gestures and their intimacy and all of that. So I think, hopefully, if Rey and Poe get to have some scenes together and stuff, that there will be intimacy. But I think, for me, it doesn't have to be romantic love. Well, Poe just got rejected. I wonder how she's going to feel if JJ does hook them up. If that breaks your heart, know that Ridley hasn't spoken to Abrams about it yet, so it is still possible that he has other plans. Well, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's problematic. If Abrams goes ahead and does get them together, I haven't heard this issue come up yet, but what if the actress doesn't consent to the character being put in a relationship on screen? If she doesn't agree to the writing, that seems like it could be problematic. I think that's very problematic, actually. JJ, you better not put them together, or we're gonna have problems. Location on lock. Location on lock. I think this is a play on words. The next installment of the Star Wars franchise might be headed to the Highlands, the county of Argyll in the Scottish Highlands, to be precise. And everyone on set will be forced to wear Argyll sweaters while they're filming the movie. You'll notice that that's going to be the new uniform of the First Order, is they will all be wearing Argyll sweaters, and that's going to be because of where they filmed. It's an agreement they've set up dealing with taxation and such. A report in Scotland's Daily Record indicates that a new Star Wars movie will begin filming in the western Scottish county of Argyll in June, with shooting expected to place in the historic mountain pass known as the Rest and Be Thankful. Well, this is fitting. If this movie saves Star Wars, we will have to come back to this. If this episode 9 just pulls Star Wars out of the gutter and saves the universe from Rian Johnson's vision, then I think we really can rest and be thankful that we avoided certain disaster. And perhaps if enough of Rian Johnson's malevolence is erased from this series, then perhaps they will rethink giving him his own trilogy, and maybe they'll offer J.J. Abrams his own trilogy. That would be much better. I don't know how much. I don't know what a J.J. Abrams only trilogy would look like, but I'm a big Lost fan, even though the ending's questionable. That's fine, but I have to say, I think a J.J. Abrams Star Wars trilogy would be much preferred to a Rian Johnson trilogy. Probably if you asked any fan, I don't care which side of the Star Wars battle they're on, I just feel like most people in general, Star Wars fans wholesale, I believe, would support a J.J. Abrams trilogy over a Rian Johnson one. Anywho, although the initial report suggests that it's Johnson's spin-off trilogy that will be filming in Argyll, there's almost no chance whatsoever that cameras will begin rolling on the first film in that series during 2018. So, if a Star Wars movie does indeed begin shooting in Argyll, it's likely to be Abrams' Episode 9. Let's just hope that this is true. Let's just hope that one day we can rest and be thankful that J.J. Abrams saved us all. Parent problems redo. Parent problems redo. Although The Last Jedi seemed to offer some resolution regarding the mystery of Rey's lineage, some resolution, basically they just told us that there was no resolution to be had. The question was stupid to begin with. Rey knew the whole time that her parents were nobodies. That thing you wanted to know when you left the theaters after watching The Force Awakens, you didn't really need to know anything. The answer was already there. Rey knew in her own mind that her parents were nobodies, and she was a nobody. So perhaps that can be changed. Johnson indicated in an interview with the Huffington Post that fans might not have heard the end of that particular identity crisis. Well, let's certainly hope not. Let's hope we have not heard the end of it. There she is. She's thinking about who her parents are, and she's like, I know I know my parents. Like I really know who they are. I remember hanging out with them and stuff. I just didn't like them. They were just like junk traders. So maybe I can try and forget and go on a journey to try and figure out who they really are, even though I know already who they really are. Even though I know they're junk traders, they're nobodies, they threw me away. I remember. I know this. I know it. Yeah. But I don't want to think about it. I'm not going to think about that. Disney. What is that? Just Disney? Well, all right. Disney. Anything's still open, and I'm not writing the next film. Abrams and Terrio are doing it, said Johnson while discussing the revelation about Rey's parents that has become one of the most polarizing aspects of the film. This is another one of those things that I feel like if you talk to someone for a little while about why they thought it was a good idea, eventually they'll change their tune. And you won't even really have to do much. You'll just have to ask them, well, how does that make any sense? You know, well, I kind of like that Rey was a nobody. Do you? Do you really like it, or is it just another case of your expectations being subverted? So you've been captivated by novelty for a second, and you think it's cool. You think that's a good idea. Well, yeah, I kind of like that. You know, I was expecting her to be like the daughter of so and so, and she's just no one. She's just Rey. She's just Rey, man. She's just this chick. Well, how can we explain the Force use? You know, if people are just born able to use the Force like Rey, there has to be something special about her. That's just not, the Force doesn't work that way. Even people, if we're going by the whole midichlorians thing, even people who are just overflowing with midichlorians still needed practice. They needed to be trained to know how to use the Force. And what does Rey learn from Luke? Like she's already a badass by the time she gets there. She really didn't need to go and learn from him. She doesn't really learn a whole lot anyway. He tickles her hand with a leaf, and then she falls into a hole in her mind, and she wakes up and she's covered in water. And then she goes out on a rock and does spinning things with her sword. And that's like her training. So why is that? You know, why was she able to do so much with the Force? Why was she able to hang with Kylo Ren if she's just a nobody? Her parents are nobodies. She's had no training. She's got to be someone. To make any sense of her Force use, she has to be someone. And I think the best idea that they could go with at this point is to find out that she is a clone of Palpatine, a female clone of Palpatine. That's what gets my vote. Will they do that? I don't know. Their story will go on. Don't let the description of Episode 9 as a concluding chapter mislead you. The Star Wars of the sequel trilogy, the stars of the sequel trilogy aren't going away. In a November 2017 interview featured on The Star Wars Show, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, this lady right here, Kathleen Kennedy, indicated that many of the main characters introduced in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, will continue their stories in Episode 9 and beyond the sequel trilogy. Now, Here's what she says. We're sitting down now. We're talking about the next 10 years of Star Wars stories, and we're looking at, narratively, where that might go, Kennedy said. Future stories beyond Episode 9 with these new characters, Rey, Poe, Fed, BB-8. But we're also looking at working with people who are interested in coming into the Star Wars world and taking us places we haven't been yet. That's exciting too, because it's a vast galaxy far, far away. Well, we're also looking at working with people who are interested in coming into the Star Wars world and taking us places. That's what they've done so far. They've taken us places we haven't been yet, in some sense, but again, they've had a real anchoring problem. They have not anchored well. This is a big issue. When you don't anchor your new characters properly, using the old characters to help anchor them, then you end up in this current position where no one cares about Rey, Poe, Finn, or BB-8. No one really cares about them. They're going to watch just because they want to see if the issues are resolved. At this point, I feel like that's what Episode 9 is. That's the hype around Episode 9 right now, is to see if J.J. Abrams can save Star Wars from Rian Johnson's destruction. But as far as the characters go, it's not about seeing how these stories are wrapped up. They really don't even have any at the moment. Nothing compelling that's going to bring people to the theaters. It's about the story behind the scenes. It's about seeing if J.J. Abrams can create a story that people care about in one movie. And that's going to be the thing that draws people in, that makes it an interesting movie to watch at least one time. Going back to the beginning, after original Episode 9 director Colin Trevorrow exited the project in September 2017 due to creative differences with the studio, it didn't take long for Disney and Lucasfilm to find a new filmmaker to helm the movie, and he was a familiar face to fans of the franchise. Abrams was named the new director of the film just a week after the post was vacated, with the film's new co-writer Terrio was also announced at that time. So it's up to you. We all have to give him our energy, send your thoughts and prayers his way, because it's all on this shoulder here and the one behind this hand that you can't see. Star Wars sits on top of these shoulders, and it's up to JJ. He's thinking about it. He's like, oh boy, they really put me in a pickle, but I'm J.J. Abrams, and I can do some wacky stuff with my brain, so I might be able to fix this yet, guys. Just give me your thoughts and prayers and your good energy and your good vibes, and we'll see what we can do. With The Force Awakens, J.J. delivered everything we could have possibly hoped for, and I am so excited that he is coming back to close out this trilogy, said Kennedy in a statement accompanying the announcement on StarWars.com. Well, hopefully nothing happens to him. Hopefully he doesn't get fired 80% into the production of this movie, just like what happened on the Solo set. Hopefully he can stick around and make his vision a reality and destroy the legacy of Sith Lord Rian Johnson. Given the success of Abrams' franchise relaunching sequel The Force Awakens, the decision to bring him back for Episode 9 seems like a safe bet for the studio. That's true. I would say it was a safe bet, and I also think that he's capable of saving it. So that is a safe bet. I think people are, even people who are not thrilled about Episode 7, people who didn't love it, who thought that it left a little bit to be desired and maybe played it a little safe, I think at this point, any Star Wars fan is going to take a safe Star Wars movie over a Star Wars movie that just takes a big old dump on the films, like the last one. We don't want any more dumps on Star Wars. Released in 2015, The Force Awakens went on to break a slew of box office records, earning $936.6 million in the US theaters and more than $2 billion worldwide. It's currently the highest grossing movie of all time domestically and in third place on the all-time worldwide box office charts after Avatar and Titanic. Two James Cameron films. He must be very proud of himself. The film also received overwhelmingly positive reviews from professional critics and fans alike, and currently ranks third after Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and the franchise starting Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, and among the best reviewed films in the franchise on review aggregator site Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is not a good place for The Last Jedi. Last I checked, it was sitting at, I think, 46% from fans. Critics, it was well above that. Should we take a look at it real quick? I'm interested now just to see what's happened to it. Let's see if we can go into RottenTomatoes.com and just take a look just quickly and just see how The Last Jedi is doing this evening in real time. Let's see how it's doing. Star Wars. Will it come? Just gonna throw me a bone here? No, didn't. Star Wars. The Last Jedi. Let's see what happens. Let's see what our score's looking like tonight. What is that? Audience score of 46%. Average, what is this? That's the tomato meter, 91%. That's all critics. The critics love this movie. The audience, the people who actually care about Star Wars, they said, well, this is worth a 46% score from us. Rian Johnson said that he wanted to create a Star Wars movie that half the fans would love and half the fans would hate. I don't know why, as a director and writer, he would set out to do that in the first place, but he didn't even achieve that. Less than half the fans loved the movie, and a majority of the fans hate it. This is in real time. This is a 46% score compared to a 91% score from the shills, from the Star Wars shill critics who just want to piss off all of us neckbeard man babies who just sit and cry because Star Wars has been ruined. That's what we all do, don't we? We just sit and cry all day long. We can't even live our lives anymore because we spend so much time crying about Star Wars. So that's where The Last Jedi is. Okay, let's get back to it here. This is a big article. But like I said, this is supposedly everything we know about Episode 9 gathered in one place here on Yahoo. So hold on, I'm doing another LaCroix. I'm feeling froggy. Okay, yeah, that remains good even when it's warm. Okay, where are we? Release date updated. Not too long after Abrams was announced as the director of Episode 9, the film also received a new release date. Star Wars Episode 9 will officially hit theaters December 20th, 2019, several months later than its original release date of May 24th, 2019. And I don't mind this too much because for some reason I thought I kind of like the holiday release for a Star Wars movie. It just feels like a good time of the year to release Star Wars. So you're not going to hear any gripes from me on that one. I don't mind. The new release date has the film arriving in theaters just a week after the sequel to Wonder Woman and on the same weekend as a live-action feature based on the popular Broadway musical Wicked. I think Wonder Woman's going to do well, but I don't think it's going to have any problem overtaking either of those. It also allows the film to carry on the tradition set by the two serialized installments of the Star Wars franchise that immediately precedes it, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, which were both assigned December premieres. So yeah, it's kind of a tradition at this point, and I don't mind. I don't mind that. We can always release Star Wars films in December, and I will not complain about that. The Leia question. This is a big one. The death of Carrie Fisher in December 2017 was felt throughout the film's fandom and left big questions about how the studio would handle her character in the remaining sequels. Rest in peace. Um, Ricardo Gigliardi. Obviously, with Carrie having passed away, it shook everybody, Kennedy told Entertainment Weekly in April 2017. We pretty much started over. Fisher had finished filming most of her scenes for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, before her death. But the part she was to play in Episode 9 had to be revised significantly. Yeah. It was initially suggested by Fisher's brother, Todd Fisher, that the studio had enough existing footage of the actress to use in Episode 9. How do you take her out of it? The answer is you don't, he said. She is as much a part of it as anything, and I think her presence now is even more powerful than it was, like Obi-Wan. When the saber cuts him down, he becomes more powerful. I feel like that's what happened with Carrie. I think the legacy should continue. And I think that if they do have footage that makes sense, then that's not a bad idea. I think it would be weird to do anything with CG, to give her the old Tarkin. I don't know about that. With it being so soon after her death, it just, something about it rubs me the wrong way. It feels like it would be disrespectful. But I think if they have footage of her that they could use in the new movie, where it wouldn't feel shoehorned or forced, no pun intended, then that could be a good way to go with it. One thing that I think would be awful to do is to recast. I don't think they're going to do that. I doubt. Hopefully that's not even like been brought up. Hopefully it's not even on the table at all. I don't think it is. I saw somewhere at one point someone suggesting that that they get Meryl Streep to come in and play Leia because they were good friends in real life. And that would be absolutely horrific. So never do that. And just don't recast Leia. I would say either use her existing footage that they have, or find a way to write her out respectfully. And I think that J.J. Abrams would do that if he needed to. He's not Rian Johnson. So, however, several months later, likely after Abrams and Terrio had begun hashing out the story for the film with the studio, Kennedy indicated in an interview with Good Morning America that Fisher was no longer expected to appear in Episode 9. So, but you never know. We'll see what happens. After this, we had not written the script for Episode 9 yet, but we regrouped and started over again in January, said Kennedy of the studio's plans for Episode 9. Sadly, Carrie will not be at Episode 9. We'll see a lot of her at Episode 8, which is great. Updated July 10th with a report indicating that Billy D. Williams will return as Lando Calrissian. And like I said earlier, we did a full episode on Billy D. returning to Star Wars last evening, so when this is all wrapped up, if you want to watch that, go ahead. We went into some depth, read a nice article about Billy D. coming back, and talked about some different angles and such, so check that out. It would be last night's video. If you go to our videos, just look one back from this one. And this apparently is what we know about Episode 9 right now. This seems to be it. This is a good chunk, the biggest chunk of what we know about Star Wars Episode 9. Everything we know so far. If there's something that we know that they didn't include in this extensive article here that we went all the way through tonight, 70 minutes worth, then please leave a comment. Let us know if we missed anything, if there's anything we should talk about. Like I said earlier as well, there was an article floating around earlier today that was talking about the possibility of Han Solo returning in Episode 9. And the way that they would do that would supposedly be using some sort of time travel device that was, I don't know the exact details of how they would do it, but someone created some sort of theory citing an explosion that created a wormhole that would possibly open up a portal for traveling back in time to rescue Han Solo and to possibly have Lando save Han Solo. And that's where Han was in the last movie. He was hanging out, hiding out with Lando. I don't know. You know, that I think that would be better. I would like to see him back and let him have a decent ending. At the very least, maybe get him on screen with Luke again. That would be nice. It would be a nice bit of fan service, which I think people deserve at this point. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, though. But I think that's going to about wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank everyone who watched this evening. There's JJ. There's his brain. That brain has to save us in the next movie. And I hope it does. I think it's possible that it will. I think that that brain has the capacity to undo Rian Johnson's mess, to navigate the labyrinth that will need to be navigated in order to untangle and unweave this this disastrous web that Mr. Rian Johnson spun and stuck with his stickiness all over the Star Wars universe. We'll see. We'll see if JJ can save us. And with that, please, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do so. Like this video if you've been watching the whole time. We'd appreciate that. Get the likes up. Get that engagement going. Leave a comment if you want to. If you're watching this later, we always respond to comments. And join us live next time. So if you want to do that, bong that gong, hit the bell for notifications so you know when we go live again, and share this video. Send your friends this way. Thanks for the likes. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate ya. And check us out, Super Divorce. We are a synth pop band. We also like Star Wars, obviously. But you can listen to our music on Spotify again, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.